Welcome to my introduction to basic quantitative research. So I will divide my workshop session today into two sessions. So the first session is the introduction session, and then the second session is basically into the hands-on lah using SPSS. Okay. So let me start by introducing myself. Okay, my name is Dr. Irhanida. Most of my colleagues, most of my students and my friends call me Dr. Ira. So you can also call me Dr. Ira. I am from the School of Hospitality, Tourism and Culinary Arts, UW Malaysia, Penang. Okay, and most of the subjects that I teach in UW Penang, KDU Penang, is tourism management. And actually, one of my colleagues here is the one who is more expert in quantitative research, which is Dr. Sarah. So other than me, you guys can also ask Dr. Sarah if you have any question later. Okay? All right. Before I move further, I think it's good for me to know you guys that join my session today. I think we have Miss Sumiko Cheng. Okay, Miss Sumiko Cheng is from my department as well. Dr. Alicia from UG, I suppose, right? Dr. Sarah, Dr. Chia Sweeting is from UG, is from Penang. Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong, may I know you are from which department? So, you know, I can understand your expectation. Because normally, many of you that having PhD, you are from engineering school that do not really have, you know, basic knowledge in quantitative method. Dr. Wong, may I know you are from which school?
Is it me? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you clearly.
All right.
Or maybe you can write in the chat box. Oh, computing. Okay. Oh, okay. That's okay. Who else we have here? We have Miss Fatiha Zahara. I think your name is quite familiar. I saw you during our DAB. Miss Fatiha.
Hi, morning.
Hi, hi morning.
Yeah, from SHTTA also, but from UG.
Oh, from UG. Okay, hi, Miss Fatiha.
Hi, I'm not teaching any tourism subjects.
Oh yeah, you
language,
right? Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for joining. Miss, I'm not sure. Lip Zan Hong. Should I call you Miss or Mr.? Or are you our postgrad student? Lip Zan Hong. How about Wei Jin, Young, and Yap Chin Ken? I think they are our postgrad student. I'm not sure.
Morning.
Hi, morning. Oh, school SCCM is
School of Computing Creative Media.
Oh, okay. School of Computing. Okay, thank you, Mr. How should I pronounce your name, Mr.
You call me Ken, K-E-N.
Oh, okay, Ken. Okay. All right, so I shall start the session already. Is it? Okay, before I start further, okay, the first thing that I would like you guys to do is to have a research topic. Okay, because without research topic, it is quite difficult for us to proceed to the next stage. So first thing that I want you guys to do for our very first activity is to come up with a research topic based on the selected field of study. So you can choose any research area that we have here. Business, environment, communication, education, hospitality, tourism and culinary, or any topic that you have in mind. Come up with the research topic, not necessarily a detailed one, but at least you know what research that you want to do. Okay, can we do this in 3 to 5 minutes? So later on, I will just randomly choose any of you, and then let us see what is your research topic. Maybe we can start with Miss Sumiko. Do you have any research topic that you have in mind?
Hello. Testing,
Hello?
testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear.
Oh, okay. The topics regarding selected field, like for example, currently I go through some is like they plan to involve like child in tourism industry. That is some promo statement stated that not many uh, uh, not really many expert is actually trying to involve children or child in tourism industry. So they believe that sometimes children they are able to guide or maybe become a good presenter to represent that country, to share the culture of the country itself. So that's why I go through some research topic that actually mentioned about in future maybe have some loops that we can involve children in like presenting like culture or any something related with history about that country
Oh, okay. Children involvement
in
in
tourism industry.
this industry. Okay. So remember your topic, okay? All right.
Thank you.
Next, thank you, Miss Sumiko. Next, how about Dr. Alicia? Oh, I think Dr. Alicia is having problem with the microphone. How about Mr. Ken? Do you have any research topic that maybe you have planned earlier? Oh, okay. Dr. Alicia wrote to me, I'll be choosing the topic in business in evaluating customer services provided by pharmacy across Peninsular Malaysia. Yeah, we can see that the pharmacy businesses arise nowadays, right? Okay, so we're going to choose this topic. Okay, one more. How about Miss Fatiha?
Hi.
Hi.
Since I'm doing language, so I
Yes.
was thinking about relating it a little bit to not really culinary lah, but relating to food a little bit. So I was thinking about the halal baby food or maybe local made baby food in Malaysia, and what are the parents' perceptions toward the advertisement or the social media that put on what to say, that talks about nowadays, you know, parents talk about baby food product or they made themselves because we have less local products in the supermarket. So I was thinking about that area lah. But we are looking on language parts, particularly in social media or advertisement or media itself.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Okay, so most of you already have your research topic. Now let us move on to what we can do with your research topic later. So the first session, the learning outcome for the first session is to ensure that you are able to be familiar with the most commonly used quantitative research methods by using SPSS. Okay, so long time ago, before we have this SPSS software, the researcher lah, long time ago, they are using Excel actually. Okay, and by having all these equation and formula, and then Excel help them to calculate it. But long after that, SPSS software come up, and then this software help us to do this quantitative research lah. Okay. So for the introduction to the quantitative research, firstly, we must understand that quantity is the unit of analysis. So if you choose to have quantitative research, it means that you're at the end of the research, result is related to quantity. And then quantitative research is about statistics, and statistics is used for greater precision and objectivity. Okay, because when we use number, definitely it's related to precision. It's precise, it's exact, okay, and it's very objective. And then whenever we use or we choose quantitative research, it is always based on deductive model. We already have a model, and normally we want to test whether or not the model could suit the data and whether or not the model can represent the result that we want to have. All right, now we move on to the model for conceptualizing quantitative research. So this overall model will, how to say, give us the picture, okay, how the quantitative research will be. So the first thing first, we must always have the purpose. Okay, so that's why having a topic is very important for us before we move further. By looking into the topic, okay, we can decide whether we should use quantitative research method or we should use qualitative research method. So qualitative research method will be explained, okay, by Dr. Azrin in the next session. I mean next time. Okay, but what I'm trying to say here is that we need to have the topic so that we can decide whether we should use quantitative research or qualitative research. So that's a purpose, objective. Okay, by having the topic, we scale it down to having the objective of the study. Okay, having the objective of the study, and then we will have the hypothesis. We will have the research question. That is under purpose. So after we have the basic of the research, which is the purpose, we will move on to the literature. Okay, so based on the research objective, by the hypothesis, by the research question, we need to explain to our audience, to the reader of our research, what we are trying to explain, okay, in our research. So we review the previous literature from the articles, from the journals that has been written by previous researcher. Okay, so we provide them understanding. We provide them review from our own opinion about the topic that we are discussing. So that is under literature. The third one is formalizing the research question and hypothesis based on the literature that we had earlier. And then stage number four is to decide the methods that we want to use. So even though we already choose to have quantitative research method, there are a few other methods that we need to break down, okay, when we want to carry out quantitative research. For example, if we want to have questionnaire survey, okay, under questionnaire survey, it could be distributed randomly or selectively, okay, or by group, or things like that. Okay, we will discuss that in further detail later on. So that's under methods. So methods in our research normally is called, is in chapter 3, which is research methodology lah. So under this research methodology chapter, we discuss the methods that we use in our quantitative research. And then we have validity and reliability before we analyze the research, okay, where we validate the tools that we use in carrying out our research, okay, where we validate our questionnaire, okay, and then we do pilot survey to test whether or not all the items in our questionnaire is valid and reliable or not. And then these are the process. This is the process where we use reliability analysis and so on. Okay, now creating the foundation for quantitative research. So we need to have the concept. Okay, the first thing that we need to have for the foundation is to come up with a concept where abstract thinking to distinguish it from other elements. Okay, like for example, earlier Miss Sumiko talked about the topic of involving children, okay, in tourism industry. So the concept is about involvement of children, okay, in tourism industry. So she must make sure that this topic, okay, is able to be the elements of this topic, okay, is able to be distinguished from other elements later, so that we know what is our independent variable and our dependent variable. And then we have construct, okay, theoretical definition of a concept must be observable or measurable, okay, and linked to other concept. That is construct, the items that we use in our research. And then we have variable presented in research questions and hypotheses. So actually, when we draft or when we draw our questions in our research, okay, the questions that we ask is actually a part of the variable that we use in the research. And finally, operationalization, specifically how the variable is observed or measured. So this is related to the methods that we are going to use to achieve the objective, whether we are using frequency, descriptive analysis or inferential analysis. Okay, next is research hypothesis. Okay, I think most of us always heard the word hypothesis. Hypothesis is something like what we expect it will happen. Okay, is or assumption. So basically, research hypothesis, okay, is educated guess or presumption based on literature. Okay, so we cannot just simply guess what will be the result of the research. We must make sure that our presumption is based on literature. So we need to read, okay, a lot of journal, a lot of article, only that we can come up with our hypothesis. So it will always based on something that is solid, okay, from our readings. Number 2 states the nature of the relationship between two or more variable. So whenever we draw our hypothesis, we must make sure that we state what is the relationship between two or among many variable that we have in our research. And then as I mentioned earlier, hypothesis predict the research outcome. Okay, and research study designed to test the relationship described in the hypothesis. So the design of our research is based on what hypothesis that we draw. If the hypothesis is talking about relationship, then maybe we are using regression analysis. If we are looking into the comparison, so maybe we are using t-test or ANOVA, okay, things like that. Okay, another element that must have in quantitative research is research question. So what is research question? It's preferred when little is known about a communication phenomenon. So we must have the question that at the end of the research, we are going to answer and discuss this. And then research question is used when previous studies report conflicting result. Okay, and then it's also used to describe communication phenomena. Oh, sorry. Okay, earlier I thought that I want to to divide you in pair. Okay, but then I think that's okay. So on this second activity, before we move to the next one, okay, based on the proposed topic that you have earlier, okay, can you please write two objectives of the research? And can you please design research question and propose the hypothesis of the research based on the topic that you have earlier? Actually, I lost the link of my Padlet. I want you guys to write let me find my Padlet link. I will share you my Padlet link a while. Can wait a bit. You just can come up with any research question based on your topic that you have earlier. This one. Okay, you may provide me your topic, your research question. Sorry, objective, research question, and proposed hypothesis. Dr. Sarah, do you want to share yours? I'm sure you're the first one finished, right? Oh, by the way, do you have any question to ask? For maybe, I'm not sure whether this is your first time drafting your question objective. But what I want you guys to do is just simply drafting something and let us see, okay, whether this is suitable for quantitative methods or not. Okay, right. Anyone done with the second activity? I think just a simple tips that I can share whenever we have the objective, for example, okay, Miss Alicia topic related to evaluating customer services, right? So the objective will be very much related to the topic. For example, to be able to evaluate customer services provided by pharmacy across Peninsular Malaysia. And then because you want to evaluate the customer service, you can detail up what kind of customer service that you are looking at. For example, or maybe you are looking into the price, okay, to examine the price relevance, okay, of product by pharmacy things like that. It's like writing our learning outcomes, similar like that. And objective is something that should be measurable. Okay, and then the research question is always reflecting the objective. Like, for example, what is the level of customer service provided in pharmacy across Peninsular Malaysia? Is the price product, the pharmacy product price is relevant? Is always reflecting the objective that you write. Our postgrad student, I believe you already have your topic. Lip Zanho, you want to try? Miss Sumiko, can you use the Padlet or actually cannot?
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I can. I'll answer the 4 questions.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, so my topic is investigating the usage of social capital within gamification activities. So that's my topic, and the objectives I have for this research is now identifying the determinants of social capital terms that is used within the gamification activity, and what is the causality of 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 using social capital in this activity itself. So that therefore the the research questions will relate to these 2 objectives. Now, what is the terms and the causality
Mm.
for social capital? And the hypothesis of the research is whether or not there exists these terms and causalities.
Okay. How about your hypothesis?
My hypothesis is that I would like to use several determinants now of social capital, such as the the networks of uh, of people, whether it's informal or formal, the trust, and also the social norms that is used as determinants for of social capital. and the causal factors would be the the structure and the hierarchical of the individual who's taking part in this activity.
Okay. Okay. So maybe because I understand your question and your objective,
Right.
but I guess the rest, the other participant maybe cannot really see it clearly. I think if you have time to write it, maybe I can share with the rest so that we can see the clear picture of your research. If you write it down lah.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ken. Okay, what I have here, the second one, is Miss Fatihah topic, factors in influencing consumer behavior and parents' perception towards baby foods in Malaysia. I try to paste it in the Padlet so that everybody can see. Okay, please wait a while. Macam cannot. Cannot open the Padlet. Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, I just shared it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me share the Padlet so that everybody can see. Okay, I will wait one example here and then let us, discuss about the topic and the objective that we have. Actually, in the real research activity, right, the formulation of the topic, the formulation of the objective, research question and hypothesis actually take a long time. Okay, so for our workshop today, definitely I didn't have high expectation lah because this is just to introduce, okay, a very basic fundamental. So what we have today is just to share what we can do about this lah. Okay, I'm not sure from who the first one, but this is about integration of AI components, example fuzzy logic and reinforcement learning. Wow, this topic is very alien to me. Into delay tolerant networking, DTN. So the objective is definition of a novel DTN algorithm with AI, artificial intelligence, component, enhancement of DTN algorithm in low bandwidth network. And the research question is current routing mechanism protocol are rule based and are not generic, could not adapt to the quick changes. Okay, I know that this is your idea, okay, but when you involve in quantitative research, right, you must make sure that you detail it up and you must break it down. Okay, you really need to break it down. Like for example, your objective is to define the novel DTN algorithm, blah, blah, blah. And then number 2, your objective is to enhance the DTN algorithm in low bandwidth, something like that. Okay, so objective always use um, the verbs like what you use, like what we use in our course learning outcome, to examine, to do like that. Okay, but I guess this is your idea, never mind. You must keep this initial idea, because we are going to define all these objective, research question and hypothesis later on. That's okay. Okay, at least you know lah what you are doing. Okay, this one is from Miss Fatiha. Factor influencing consumer behavior and parents' perception towards baby foods in Malaysia. This is more clear and much more detailed. Okay, so the research objective is to examine the factors that influence baby food to determine the perception. Yes, okay, this is very clear and very straightforward. Normally, quantitative research looks like this. Okay, and then research question: what are the factors that influence parent selection? Yes. What are the parents' perception on local made baby products sold outside of the market? And price and quality of the product influence the selection of baby food product in the market. Blah blah blah. Okay. Local made baby food product are perceived as having lower quality compared to imported brands in the market. Okay. Normally, our hypothesis relates to our objective as well as our research question. So here, okay, I believe you assume factors is related to price and quality, while perception is lower quality, right? Okay, I think this is workable. Okay, workable. Thank you, Miss Fatiha. And research integration, I think this is by Mr. Research integration. The second one is by Mr. By who ya? No name here. Let's see. Miss Sumiko, your topic is quite interesting as well. Can you share with us? This topic of integration of AI component, the idea is here, but you still need to refine, okay, your objective and research question. Because, for example, your hypothesis here is not really clear here. Okay, but you have the idea, so still okay. Oh, this is from Dr. Wong. Okay, thank you, Dr. Wong. Sorry. I believe Miss Sumiko is writing. Can we wait one more from Miss Sumiko? I must say that writing research objective, research question and hypothesis is not that difficult at the beginning, okay, but is when you start doing your analysis and then you find a problem, that's where you really need to make sure that your objective and your research question are really measurable and you are able to achieve it by using the analysis method that we are going to look at it later. Okay. This is from Mr. Ken. Investigating the usage of social capital in gamified activities. So the objective is to identify the determinants and causal factors of social capital in cooperative gamified activity. Okay, and then the question is, what are the determinants and causal factors of social capital that affect an individual's performance in a gamified activity? Okay, yes, that's relevant. And then hypothesis, the usage of social capital based on its determinants and causal factors affect the individual's performance. Alright, okay. Sounds relevant lah. Just that I'm not from computing school, so I tak tahu pun apa tu gamified activity. Any question? I think most of you are quite familiar with this, right? I think most of you are more interested to know how we can use SPSS, isn't it? Dr. Wong said, I think my topic is more to qualitative research. Let me read again. For me, when you choose to have quantitative, the result that you want, right, is more objective. You want numbers. You want people to know the exact percentage. You want people to know, yeah, this statistic lah. But when you talk about performance, opinions, yeah, I guess it is more into qualitative. Okay, but since I'm not really familiar with all these BTN, or I can't really decide for you. But if your objective is to understand the definition, you want to know whether this DTN able to be enhanced or not, maybe need to use qualitative. We really need to refine this carefully, okay, before we decide. I'm waiting for Miss Sumiko. One more, just a minute, okay? By Dr. Wong, from my understanding in my previous workshop before, most of my colleagues here from the computing school, from the engineering school, I understand that they never do quantitative research or qualitative research. They always have this experiment, yeah, all these lab testing stuff, you know. So that is the way they do the research, but I'm not sure about this. But it's depend lah. That's why we need to know your topic. Okay. What you want to achieve actually, then we can decide whether it is more suitable for qualitative or quantitative. Miss Sumiko? Okay, we can share. Because Miss Sumiko is from tourism school, so I am excited lah to do here. Miss Sumiko topic is child-centered approaches in tourism and hospitality industry. The objective is to identify the voices of children growing up in host community and involved in tourism and hospitality industry. Identify the voices. I think what she want to know is about the opinion. Okay, and what is the challenges in involving children in tourism and hospitality industry? Looking from the topic, I think this research is more suitable for qualitative. Okay, but it depends when we refine your objective. Maybe we can get some statistic, okay, things like that. But from the general topic that you have here, I think this is more suitable for qualitative, because you are talking about challenges, you are talking about their opinion. It is more detailed, it is more suitable if we can do an interview session. This is more subjective lah, rather than objective. Okay, but thank you very much. Okay, at least this is a good example where we can differentiate between quantitative and qualitative. This is, you know, kind of good topic, especially when you involve country that have involved a lot of children's, okay, in their tourism industry. Okay, thank you so much for your time. Because this is only half day workshop, right? And later on we are going to our SPSS hands-on. So I think I will move on. Okay, if you have any question later, please free to stop me, and then I will stop and explain to you. Okay, next is quantitative data analysis. Okay, earlier we are talking about the fundamental of quantitative research. Okay, so before we proceed to all this analysis stuff, we must understand what we need to do. We need to have the topic, we need to have the objective, we need to have the research question, hypothesis, okay, all those. So now, after we already have the topic and all, we need to know what kind of analysis that is suitable to achieve our objective, to prove our hypothesis. So we move on to the analysis part. So analysis in quantitative research is divided into or grouped into descriptive analysis and inferential analysis. So first, I will explain about the descriptive analysis. This is the very first level of analysis, where this analysis helps researchers find absolute number to summarize individual variable and find pattern. Okay, a few examples are mean, median, mode, percentage, frequency, and range. Descriptive analysis is the analysis that we always use in presenting our exam result. Okay, our exam result. We want the summary. We want the exact number. So we will use descriptive analysis. We use mean, which is the numerical average. When we want to present the performance of the class, for example, because all of us are lecturer, right? So I think I will just take the exam performance as my example. We use mean to present the average performance of the class. Okay, that is the basic use of mean, numerical average. And then we have median. Median is basically midpoint. Okay, the midpoint of the result. Where is the midpoint? Okay, and then we have mode. Mode is the most common value. Okay, like for example, if you have the exam result, right? Most of them score what? So most is the most common value of the result that you have in your in the result lah. Okay, that is mode, most common value. It's represent majority. Okay, but majority is not similar with mean. Mean basically represent the average, okay, of the class. And then we have percentage. I think percentage everybody know is the ratio as a fraction of 100. And then we have frequency, number of occurrences. And then we have range, from the highest to the lowest value. This is descriptive analysis, absolute numbers. Okay, I think when we start doing our hands-on, okay, we start to practice the SPSS, I think all of you can easily understand descriptive analysis. Okay, and then the second one is what we call inferential analysis. So inferential analysis is a bit complex compared to the descriptive analysis. This complex analysis show the relationship between multiple variable, not only one but multiple, to generalize result and make prediction. Okay, so like for example, earlier Miss Fatiha, she want to see whether or not the perception. Okay, so the perception here will be related to the relationship between multiple variables. okay, that she has in her research. So there are few inferential analysis that she can use. For example, correlation. Okay, we use correlation analysis to describe
Dr.
the
Narida,
relationship. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Are you showing the slide?
Yeah.
Because now
Not.
we are seeing the Padlet.
Oh, alamak. Sorry.
Okay.
Because, sekejap ya. Yeah, I'm showing the slide. I terlupa change. I'm sorry everyone.
Okay.
Okay. I stopped at inferential analysis, right? Okay, just a very quick review. I've been talking about descriptive analysis earlier, about the exam performance and what I think most of you understand that. And then the second group that I've been talking about is the inferential analysis, where inferential analysis is more complex analysis compared to descriptive analysis. Okay. It show relationship, it show how to say, it basically relationship, okay, correlation, regression, okay, all this between multiple variable, because we want to generalize our result, okay, and make prediction. We want to prove the hypothesis that we made earlier is accepted, it should be accepted or should be rejected. So when we want to prove our hypothesis, normally we use our inferential analysis lah. So there are few example of inferential analysis, like for example, correlation. We use correlation to describe the relationship between two variable. And then we use regression analysis to show or to predict the relationship between two variable. Okay, and then we use analysis of variance to test the extent to which two or more groups differ. Okay, ANOVA. Okay, ANOVA is analysis of variance lah. If there is differences between 3-4 groups, then we use ANOVA. Okay, so there are two quantitative data analysis, descriptive analysis, and inferential analysis. Okay, the next one is types of variable. Okay, it is very important for us to differentiate the variables that we use in our quantitative research. Okay, there are three types of variable. We have independent variable, the one thing that you can change, the variable that you can change, and this is limit to only one in an experiment. Okay, later on we go back to the topic and then we will decide what is our independent variable, what is dependent, and our control variable. So dependent, okay, and independent. And then the second one is dependent variable, is the variable that change because of the independent variable. The change that happens because of the independent variable. Take a look at this picture. Okay, we have the water. Okay, we have the plant, and then we have the measurement scale there. Okay, so the logic here, the plant will grow if we water the plant. Okay, so the water will influence the growth of the plant. Okay, and we can measure it. So the scale measure there represent the quantitative research. It is measurable, right? And then we have the pot here. The pot here representing control variable. Everything you want to remain constant and unchanging. So when we plant flower lah, okay, we have the pot. We won't change the pot. Okay, we won't change the pot. The thing that will change here is whether the plant will grow or whether or not you water the plant. Okay, so later on, we will go back to your topic and we will decide what is our independent variable and what is our dependent variable. Okay. All right. The next thing that we want to do is to decide what is our variable. But before that, let us have 5-minute breaks. Okay, we have 5-minute break, okay? Some guy was jamming out in front of him. Okay, I think I can continue. So we continue, we back to the types of variables just now. We've been talking about independent variable, dependence variable, and intervening variables. So in detail, independent variables is the manipulation or variation of this variable is the cause of change in other variable. Technically, independent variable is the term reserved for experimental study. For example, revision time measured in hour, and intelligence measured using IQ score. Okay, and then we have dependent variable. The second variable is the variable of primary interest. Okay, where the research question or hypothesis describe, explain, or predicts changes in it. So the example, the variable that is influenced or changed by the independent variable. Example, test mark that measured from 0 to 100. Your test mark change, okay, based on your effort, based on how much book that you study. So this is the variable that change. This is depending on other variable. Okay, and then the third one is intervening variable. So intervening variable is basically the one that explain or provide link, okay, or relationship between IV and the DV. Okay, normally in quantitative research, the shortcut for independent variable is IV and the shortcut for dependent variable is DV. So the relationship between the IV and DV can only be explained when the intervening variable is present, but not necessarily all research have intervening variable. Okay, it depends on again your objective of your research. If your research is very straightforward, for example, the one that Miss Fatiha have, that is very straightforward. I don't think so she got any intervening variables there. Okay, she only have independent and dependent variable. Okay, relationship between independent and dependent variable. We cannot specify independent variable without specifying dependent variable. Okay, we must make sure and we must clear what is our independent and what is our dependent variable. Number of independent and dependent variables depends on the nature and complexity of the study. We can have many independent variable, okay, or dependent variable, depends on your study, on your topic that you have earlier. And then the number and type of variable dictates which statistical test will be used. Okay, if you only have one dependent and independent variable, okay, I don't think so. You need more complex variable. Okay, but the more dependent variable and independent variable you have, you will need more complex analysis. Okay, so for the beginners, it good to have not so much, okay, independent variable or dependent variable. So when you can master the basic quantitative research, then you can slowly go to the more complex quantitative research. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, for the last activity of the first session today, by referring to the research objective, research question and hypothesis, discuss the independent variable and dependent variable of the research that you have earlier. Now I will open back the Padlet and let us see. We discuss together lah. Okay. Okay, let us take. Okay, let us take Miss Fatiha research topic. Okay, can I have Dr. Alicia, what do you think? What is the independent variable here? Based on Miss Fatiha research topic, okay, what is our IV and DV here? Oh, I forgot that your mic not functioning, right? Independent factors, parent. Okay. You mean parents' perception, right? Perception. Oh yeah, you cannot. How about Dr. Wong? Miss Fatiha itself? What is the dependent variable here? What is the variable that changed in this topic? Miss Fatiha as the one who create this topic?
You hear me or? Hello.
Cannot hear you clearly.
Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Same. The factors that influence the choice of baby food products is the dependent variables.
Okay. Then how about the independent?
Dependence. Dependence is the dependent that is changing. Independent is not changing, is it?
Yes.
Confused. Okay. Oh, so independent would be
Dependent tak change.
the baby food products itself.
Baby food products. Okay.
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 Very
Actually,
confused.
yeah. Okay, when we start, I think many people when they been introduced to quantitative research, when we start discussing the independent and dependent variable in their topic, then they start confused already. Okay. All right. First, let us take a look into this topic. This topic is factors influencing consumer behavior and parents' perception towards baby food in Malaysia. So actually, there are two dependent variable here. Number one, factors influencing consumer behavior. Okay, so the dependent behavior here, the dependent variable here is consumer behavior. Okay, that is one topic actually. Okay, because we have two here. Factors influencing consumer behavior. One, parents' perception towards baby food in Malaysia. Another one. So actually, even though this topic is very straightforward, very clear, but you have two things here. So you must make sure that your topic is just how to say, one only. Okay, it's either consumer behavior or parents. So I decide to take factors influencing parents' perceptions toward baby food in Malaysia. So our variable is very clear where parent perception, baby food is baby food is independent while the dependent is parent perception, because the parent perception will change, okay, according to what types of baby food that they consume. So whatever change is dependent. Things that don't change over here, the things that don't change is baby food. Okay, baby food. Tapi yang change tu, the one that is change is the perception. Apa perception change, right? Based on what we eat, based on what we see, that is the difference lah. So over here is very clear. Okay, the things that is not change is baby food. So that is independent. The change, the variable that is change is perception. So that is the dependent variable here. Okay, that is Miss Fatiha topic. If we move to Miss Mr. Ken topic. Okay, investigating the usage of social capital in gaming activity. Let us take a look into the objective. Identify the determinants and causal factors of social capital. So I think even though we haven't refined the objective, it is very clear the dependent variable here, the DV here is the determinant and causal factor lah. It will change. Okay, while the social capital is independent, it won't change. It won't change. The thing that won't change. Okay, while Miss Sumiko here, objective is to identify the voices of children growing up in host community and involved in tourism and hospitality industry. I think here is also very clear, even though the objective is not refined. But if we turn this into quantitative research, we can say that the voices of the children, I believe this is opinion of the children, is dependent. It will change based on what they perceive. Okay, but the thing that is not change here is the involvement in tourism and hospitality industry. That is independent. Okay, so I think even though it is very brief, but I hope you guys can understand. Okay, the one that is not changing, it stick there, is dependent. Independent. The one that is going to be changed, okay, depends on what variable is dependent. Okay. All right. Any question? Because that's the end of our first session before we move on to the SPSS. Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. Maybe at this stage, okay, because some of you are not really clear about the topic, not really clear about the objective, you can't really finalize what is your IV and your DV. Maybe when you start doing the SPSS exercise, you will have more questions to us. Okay. All right. So that's the fundamental things, the very important things that you must understand when you choose to have quantitative research. A very quick review. A very quick review before we move to our SPSS hands-on. We must understand our purpose. We must clear about our purpose. Okay. We must do literature. Okay, literature is different story lah. But it is very important for us to have a good revision, okay, of literature, because we are going to write our research question and hypothesis based on literature. We only can come up with our assumption of our end result of the research based on what have been written in the previous literature by the previous researcher, by many other articles that have been wrote before lah. And then the hypothesis will define the methods, okay? And what kind of methods that you will choose is the one that we are going to cover in the next session. Okay, so I'll stop the first session. Maybe we have another 5-minute breaks before we move on to the second session. Okay, during the second session, I already shared you the SPSS link, the free trial 14 days trial software. If you have it, you can open it up, okay, because later on we can try together with the, I'm not sure whether I share with you my the sample data. It's okay, I will share again here. I cannot share SPSS data here, I think. Tak boleh share file, is it, kat sini? In that case, I will email everyone then. I am not able to share the sample data, SPSS sample data over here. So I just email everyone the sample data. During our hands-on exercise, we can use that data, okay, later on. Okay, so this is the second session. In the second session, I will introduce you guys how to use basic SPSS. I think it is very important for us to master the basic SPSS before we try more complicated analysis like CFA, confirmatory factor analysis, or yeah, other than that, okay, SEM, structure equation, modeling, and those stuff. It is very important for us to understand the elementary statistical test using SPSS. So it reflects the learning outcomes of the second session, which is to be able to conduct elementary statistical tests using SPSS, and after you can do the test, you must be able to interpret result of commonly used statistical tests in SPSS. So to be honest to you, actually, if you didn't come to this workshop, you can just simply go to YouTube, okay? You can browse the steps, okay, of conducting the analysis in website. But the most trickiest part is to interpret the result. If you can just simply click all the steps in SPSS, but you do not know how to interpret the result. That's not good lah. Okay, there is no use lah. Okay, now let us go into what we are learning in this session. There are two parts that I'm going to have in this session. I have part A, where part A is basically data preparation and management before we go to the analysis. So we have data preparation with SPSS, we have data definition, we have data entry, and then we have data management. That is part A. And in part B, we are starting to use the analysis already, where there are two types of analysis that we are going to go through today. Number one is descriptive and inferential statistic, okay, where I'm just going to cover the simple descriptive statistic, which is frequencies. And then for the inferential statistic, I will only teach you how to do independent sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, Pearson correlation analysis lah, and then regression analysis, linear and multiple linear regression. So all these four analysis is the very common analysis that we use in our master study, our undergraduate study, and some in PhD study. But definitely when you just use a very simple inferential statistic in PhD, you really need to have a lot of supportive discussion, analysis, and so on. Okay, but you still can use. It's just that you need to have more supplement, okay, during your discussion. Let us start data preparation and management. Okay, I'm not sure how familiar you are with SPSS. Okay, but what you see in on my screen here is the normal data. Okay, the normal screen, okay, SPSS screen that you can see. Okay, this is the screen lah of SPSS. Okay, and then before we move into entering all the data in SPSS, we need to understand some data definition. Number one, we need to know the variable name. Okay, variable name in SPSS, you can just simply name anything lah. Normally, we will have a very short name like Q1, Q2, Q3, representing question 1, question 2, question 3. Or if you a little bit hardworking, you can name it attribute 1, attribute 2. You make it shortcut, ATT1, ATT2, so on and so forth. And the name must be short. Okay, I didn't see researcher key in all this data, enter all this data with a very long and complicated name, because no use. We just want to ensure that we understand, oh, Q1 represent the first question in our questionnaire, Q2 representing second question in questionnaire, so on and so forth. Okay, or you can also name it as attribute 1, 2, 3 until how many you have. So your variable name or code representing how many questionnaire you have. in your survey, questionnaire survey. Okay. All right. The second one is variable label. So the full statement. Okay, this is based on your questionnaire. Okay, this is based on your questionnaire. So for example, in your questionnaire, you have the first question, gender. Okay, gender. So the full statement should be gender also lah. Or the first question that you have in your questionnaire survey is already asked about perception about blah 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 blah. So you can have that full statement, but in usual practice, we just simply put, okay, perception 1, perception 2, perception 3, like that. It is not so important, but if let's say you miss out or accidentally delete one of the row in your SPSS, at least you know, oh, what kind of question or what kind of data that you accidentally deleted just now. Okay, label like us labeling our stuff, at least we know what the variable belong to what, okay, which group or something like that. And then we have value label. It is very important, okay, for us to label the value accordingly, because this is our data coding. For example, if our question is gender, okay, you provide them empty box, right, to tick. Okay, so gender normally we have female and male sahajalah. Okay, but there is other in some research they have three boxes. Okay, female, male, and others. Okay, but in Malaysia normally in many research lah, we definitely have two lah, female and male. So the first box, okay, if the respondents take, if they ticks female, okay, so female is 1. You label it yourself, up to you. Okay, so if they answer female, you will key in inside your SPSS as 1 representing female. If they tick male, then you will key in inside your SPSS 2, because you already label your value as 1 for female and 2 for male. Okay, this is data coding. So data coding is not fixed, it is based on the researcher. Later on we will see. Okay, and then missing value. What is missing value? Sometimes when you hand the questionnaire to the respondent, they did not answer your question, or you provide them 2 box, like for example gender here, 1 for female, 2 for male, right? They tick both. This is considered as missing value, because we don't know what exact answer for this respondent. So this is considered as missing value. If the respondent did not answer, you should key in 0 or 999, or you just better leave it blank. Okay, so we must be, as a researcher, we must be honest with our questionnaire lah. Okay, if they didn't answer, so what we key in there is 0, 999, or just leave it blank, because it will give effect later on. Okay, I will explain later what is the effect of missing value. Okay, this is the very important things that we need to know first, data definition. Secondly is data entry. Okay, so there are two situations. One, when we already have existing data. Okay, so just simply open your SPSS. Let's take a look into the screen. When you first click your SPSS, okay, you will have this. So if you already have existing data, they will say open data here. Click Excel data. If you have it in Excel, you put it Excel, open, and it will direct you to here. Worksheet what? Click OK. Okay, click OK. Situation 2, you need to import the data. Okay, like in this case, you have it in Excel. It means that you have to import the Excel version into SPSS. So this is the steps that you need to do. Okay, file, open, go to file, go to open and go to data and then click OK. So all the data that you have in Excel will be automatically imported into SPSS. So don't worry, if it's in Excel, you can count it easily lah, because SPSS come from Excel actually. Okay. Okay, in SPSS, this is data view. Okay, if you open my sample data 2, night tourism, you will find there are two view. Okay, at the bottom of the screen there. One is data view and another one is variable view. So if you click data view, this is what you can see. So all these numbers that you can see is the answers given by the respondent. This is your raw data. Okay, all these are your raw data. And you can see some blank area here. This is the missing value, is empty. Okay, the respondent did not answer. So 0 lah, empty. Okay, and here you can see paper, the row that you can see here. You can see paper, TE1, TE2, TE3. This is the value label. The value label, the value label lah. TE1, tourist experience 1, tourist experience 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. TS is representing tourist satisfaction. Variable 1, 2, 3, 4 are the rest. Okay, so over here, I have 32 variable. If you look into the bottom at the right side, you see visible 32 of 32 variable. It means that I have 32 questions. Okay. Next. Okay, when you click variable view, okay, it means that you can see this screen and you can see how many variable I have, how many questions I have in my questionnaire. So over here is all the data information that I explained to you earlier. We have name, we have type, with decimal, with and decimal is not so important lah. It's just that it will show us, okay, let's say decimal here, I put 2, right? It will reflect here. You can see all the value here only have 2 decimal. And then I have label. This is the label. This is the full questionnaire, question that I have. Okay. This question represent TE1, tourist experience 1. This is the label. And then value. Value is the options for the answer that I have. Okay, I will show you again. Missing value, none. Okay. Column. How many column lah? The length of the variable here. Not important, never mind. A line also not important, never mind. Just ignore it, not important. Measure is quite important. Okay, measure, I will explain later, but in short, measure representing the options of answer that we provide here. Okay, in this situation, in this questionnaire, I have Likert scale. So Likert scale is the range of answer that I provide for the respondent based on preferences like strongly agree, agree, neutral, strongly disagree, disagree. So this is by ordinal, by rank. So ordinal is by rank, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. So it's by rank. So this is called ordinal. But if the question that you ask is by group, like for example, gender by group, it's not by rank. Group kan, lelaki, perempuan, female, male, right? So that is by group, nominal. Okay, or for example, in this question, variable number 19, GQ1, general question 1. Did you visit an attraction at night? The answer that I have here is yes or no. So it's definitely two different questions, two different answers. So it's group lah, it's nominal. So this is the way we label our value. Okay. Later on I will show you, but here you put 2. What is the label? The value 2 representing female. Value 1 representing male. Okay, this is for the value label. terbalik ni, sorry. One for male actually, two for female, but on top here I write one female. And then missing value. So when you key in missing value here, you click discrete missing value 999. When you type 999 in your row, it represent missing value lah, no answer. Okay. Or you can click no missing value, meaning all of the respondent answer that question. Okay. I think it is very important for us to be introduced into SPSS. So by using sample data 1, okay, answer the following question. So all of you need to open your SPSS software and then open the data 1. I have two data. So for our first activity, we need to open data 1 and answer the following question. How many variables are there? And what is value under variable view? And why is the measure group for the variable are nominal? Okay, let us take a look. Now I will open my SPSS. I hope you can open lah your SPSS. However, because we don't have Infineon, we don't have the software, we are only able to give you the trial package, which is only for 14 days lah. I'm not sure about SPSS software in UG, but I must be honest, in Penang, every time I conduct SPSS workshop, I only can use the trial version. The challenges of having SPSS workshop online is that I'm not able to, to provide you tutorial from one table to another table lah. So I can only share my my screen sahaja. Okay, wait, let me share my screen. Okay, I'm sharing with you my SPSS screen. So I am opening existing data. So what I do, I just go to the folder. Where is my workshop? Okay, sample data 1, intro to SPSS. You can find it in your email. I just email to everyone this morning. When you click open, okay, this is what you can see. So my question, I will copy and put it in the chat box. Okay, my questions are, how many variables are there? What is value under variable view? And what is the measure group for the variables that are nominal? Sorry, why is the measure group for the variable are nominal? Mana I punya SPSS? I only have 30 respondents. Okay. Okay, Dr. Elisha, are you familiar with SPSS? Have you used SPSS before? Miss Fatiha, you use SPSS before? Yes, but not often. I usually use GraphPad Prism. Oh, okay. I didn't use that. Maybe you can teach me one day. Oh, okay, okay. So it must be very new for Miss Fatiha, right? Okay, so it's quite important for me to explain to you how this will work. Okay. I think Miss Sumiko is quite good already in SPSS. We just want to expand further. Who else? Mr. Ken, you use SPSS before? We have also Miss Azma, Dr. Wong.
In my degree years, yes, that's about
Oh,
11 years ago.
yeah, I understand. Okay. And so not so strange for you lah to see this. All right. Anyone can answer my question? How many variable? Currently, I'm unable to open the SPSS as it requires system administrator to download the software. Oh, okay lah, never mind. If I understand, sometimes our laptop do not allow us to download new software. Because in PG sometimes like that. But that's okay. Just by looking from my screen here, can you see how many variables that I have? Very, very simple, very straightforward. How many variables that we have here? Miss Fatiha, how many? I cannot open two. I tried download last week but cannot. Oh, then
Your screen,
oh,
Doctor.
cannot screen my screen. Wait, yeah. Because I keep changing from my slide to SPSS. Now I understand the challenge of having this kind of workshop not suitable online. Next time need to be online streaming instead. Okay, this is the SPSS view for the variable view. So how many variable we have here? How many variable we have here? Fatiha? Guess? I think somebody write the answer, but because I open the screen, tak nampak. You need to talk to me. 8, okay, 8. Okay, because we have gender, age, marital status, country of origin, education, employment, times visited, where to get information. Okay, so kalau kita extend, kita boleh nampak sini. So we have 8 variable. This 8 variable we get from the questionnaire. Okay, I have the sample of questionnaire, but when I open too many screen, it will make your understanding more confused. So I just explain here. In my question, the first question I ask about gender, and then second age, marital status, country of origin, so on and so forth. So I have 8 variable here. Okay, the second row is string. String means the types of information that I want. It could be numeric, comma, dot, scientific notation, date, dollar, custom currency, or string. String normally wording lah. So normally we always pick string. So just string and click OK. And then width not important, decimal not important, never mind. You just put anything. But for width, right, if you put too little, for example, 12. If you name your variable, the name of your variable is more than 12 alphabet, then nanti dia tak cukup. It's not enough. Okay. Decimal ni not important. 0 also can, 2 also can, not important. Okay. Label, as I mentioned just now, actually in this simple data, I extract it from the full questionnaire. So I have around 53 questionnaire, but for beginners, definitely I have to make it short. I cut the rest, but you can see here, this is actually question number 40, 41, 42 until 49. So the label, okay. And then value, okay, let me click here for gender, as I mentioned earlier, right? Value number 1 represent male, value number 2 represent female. Okay, let us take a look into age. Value 1, 18 to 20, so on and so forth. It is based on your questionnaire. Okay, so we key in our data in SPSS based on our questionnaire. Okay, so whatever you have, the option of answers that you have, you must put it back here accordingly. Okay. Stop me if you cannot understand lah. I will slow it down. Okay, and marital status, I have 3 here. 1, single, 2, married, 3, divorce. And then country of origin, why is none? Because in my questionnaire, the country of origin, I put it blank. There is no option. You can give option actually. Like for example, from Australia, from America, from Europe, from Asia, you can provide it by option. But in my case, I want to know exactly where they come from. So I leave it blank. So when I leave it blank, it means that they can write where the country they come from. So I have to key in the name of the country one by one. So that's why it's blank here. So when I key in, later on, when I click the data view, you will see the name of the country appeared one by one. Okay. Okay, next is education. 1 is primary school, 2 is secondary, 3 blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, then employment. I have 4 options. 1 is employed, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Times visited. I asked them how many times they have visited Penang. They have first time, 1, first time, 2, 2 to 4 time, 3, more than 5 times. And then finally, where they get information about Penang, I have 5 options, 1 internet, so on and so forth. Okay, so I hope you understand. I think it's quite straightforward about the value. Okay, missing, none here. Column also depends that nothing. Okay, it's like word. Okay. Now, the measure here. Okay, if we click measure under our variable, they provide us options whether it's ordinal or nominal. So all of my variable here is under nominal. Why? Why all of them are nominal? Anyone? Our postgraduate student, you want to try? Okay, I will click the chat box because I can't see. No answer. But all of you write 8. Yes, 8 variable. Our postgraduate student, why all of the variable are nominal? Can you turn on your microphone? Why? Okay, never mind. Maybe you are shy to answer. Let me explain again. So the data, the variable could be nominal. Okay, actually got one more is which is scale. It could be scale, it could be nominal, it could be ordinal. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, ordinal is when the range of the answer, the value here, is by rank, especially when you have Likert scale in your questionnaire. That is ordinal by rank, from the best to the worst, that is ordinal. But nominal is answer that is separately, you know, by groups, like male, one group, female, one group. And then we have age, 18 to 20, one group, 21 to 30, one group. Okay, that is by group. Scale is like height, weight, that is by scale, right? Okay, 20 kilogram, 30 kilogram, 150 centimeter, that is by scale. Okay, by measurement. So we go by scale. But majority of social science data measure, variable measure is either nominal or ordinal. But when we look into research, medical research, okay, they usually have weight, have scale, that is using scale. Right. Any question before I move to the next slide?
So
Yes, Miss Fatima.
normally like demographic questions are all nominal.
Demographic, yes, you are right. Normally, demographic question are basically nominal, is by group. Is by group. Okay, but again, it depends on our question. If the question asks us about general question lah, for example, how many times? Oh, kalau how many times pun still nominal. Yeah, but I just worried that sometimes the question is more into ordinal. But demographic lah, if you ask about age, occupation, education background, is basically all nominal, is group. Okay, then next. Okay, so okay, now is data management. We already know how to enter the data into SPSS. Now we need to manage the data. Okay, manage the variables. Sometimes, if we are very lucky, all our data is very nice, very beautiful, complete. Okay, but sometimes we have the situation where we enter the data wrongly. Okay, incorrectly, or we accidentally key in the wrong value. We need to manage the data. Okay, we need to clean the data. So there are 3 common data management tasks. One is what we call merging the category. Okay, like for example, initially you say employment, no job, part-time, full-time, but after you review your questionnaire, you feel that better I change to no job and having job rather than I put no job, part-time and full-time. You feel that it is more how to say, accurate. You feel that by merging the category, your result will be more clean, representable. So you need to merge the category. We can do that in SPSS. So what we do, we just need to create, okay, or merge the category where part-time is equal to having job, full-time is also equal to having job. So in the new data, you will have no job and having job. Okay, that is the first common data management. Number 2 is changing string to numeric data. Okay, string is when we write word. String is when we write words. Okay, so normally one, just now like I showed to you, 1 equal to strongly agree, 2 disagree, okay, things like that. But sometimes the respondent answer, instead of putting it 1, dia buat terbalik, you know. Okay, so we need to recode the data. Okay, so we need to recode the data from strongly agree, the value become 4, and then agree become 3, disagree become 2, and then strongly disagree, and then disagree. Recoded. Okay, I will show it to you later. And then number 3, computing a new summary variable. Okay, this one I need to show you during hands-on later on, where normally, right, when we have factors, okay, when we have factors in our research, for example, just now, Miss Fatiha punya topic, you are asking about factor influencing decision making, consumer behavior, something like that. So I believe under your factor, you have maybe 5 questions, 5 variable. These 5 variable, okay, is actually forming one question. Forming one factor. So all these 5 questions that forming one factor need to be compute. Need to be, another word for compute is, need to be grouped together because they are representing one factor. Okay, you ask 5 questions, but actually these 5 questions is the factor that you are examining. So you need to compute all these 5 to become one. So take a look at here. We have esteem Q1, esteem Q2, and so on until esteem Q10. We need to compute. We need to group all these 10 questions together to form one factor. Okay, to form one factor. So after we compute, we will have another new row. Okay, in this case, we name it as esteem total. So we have the grand mean, which is 7. I will show you when we try to do regression analysis later. We normally have compute summary variable when we do regression analysis. Okay. Okay, so that is data management. Record function in SPSS, as I mentioned just now, is because we want to merge the category. We actually have 3. Now we want to change to 2. So we record lah. We record. Okay. So this is how we record. Okay. The old variable name is employment. And then the new variable name is employment underscore new. In SPSS, they don't allow us to have space. So every time you want to provide a space in between the word, we must always have the underscore. So we cannot have the exact space. So we must have underscore then the other word. So over here, okay, from our employment data, we have a new variable name. And then the existing value ada 3. Okay, we have 3. And then the new value we have 2. And then we remove the value like this. Okay, and then we continue lah. Well, this one is the way on how we compute our 3 or 5 questions there into one. Okay, so I will share with you these slides. My slide is not that comprehensive lah, but I believe for new beginners, I try my best earlier to ensure that you guys can follow step by step, because yeah, I try to show it in detail, especially for new beginners, because I hope it can help you. So over here, okay, we want to create one factor, which is esteem total. So we need to key in the formula where we need to type sum, SUM, and then put bracket. We move the variable one by one. Esteem Q1, esteem Q2. This one is derived from here until esteem Q10, and then close the bracket. Click statistical, click sum, and OK. You will have the new variable, which is esteem total, in your SPSS data view. Okay. So during our last exercise later in regression, you need to do compute. You can refer back to this slide. Okay, next. How about missing data treatment? Okay, we already key in all the data. We notice that there are many column that our respondent did not answer. Many column they did not answer. So what we are going to do is our data is still usable. So according to Una Sekaran is one of the famous quantitative research author. She said that if the questionnaire had 25% missing, right, we better just dismiss the questionnaire. Okay, so if more than 25% missing, dismiss the questionnaire. Okay, in one questionnaire, kita ada banyak questionnaire, right? Maybe 100 questionnaire. But in one single questionnaire, if more than 25% of the question the respondent did not answer, ignore the questionnaire, put it aside. Okay, put it aside. Other way of handling, other than ignoring it, just put it system missing, use the midpoint of the scale or mean of those responding. We have, let's say we have 100 questionnaire and then we have 80%, 80 people answering the questionnaire. We use the midpoint of the people who answering. Pun boleh, okay? But not encourage lah. Okay, it's like not so valid. Okay, mean of those responding, mean of the respondent, or simply key in random number, which is totally not encourage. I did not really encourage. I think this one is very desperate measure. Okay. Okay, another thing that we need to consider when we do our data entering process is instrument validation. So what is instrument? Our questionnaire is our instrument. So our questionnaire need to be validated. Somebody need to read the questionnaire carefully. Somebody need to ensure that all the questions is relevant to the topic, is suitable, is very suitable to the topic and able to provide us the desirable answer. Okay, number one is content validity. We need to ensure that all the questions that we ask that at the end of the day form the factors of the research is based on a good research, is based on a good review from the literature. Or you can get the validation from the expert. Okay, maybe this researcher, this professor already did research in this topic for the past 10 years. Okay, he's the expert lah in this topic. You can ask the expert to validate your questionnaire. Okay, or from the cognitive interview. Interview with respondent for one question to another one. We can validate the question by simply testing the questionnaire. Okay, asking them first, do they understand the question? Do they think that this are able to present okay the result? Okay, number two, construct validity. Is your measurement valid? We can do factor analysis. And then we can do reliability analysis by reading the value of the Cronbach alpha. Normally, we will have this during our pilot study. I will explain to you what is reliability. Okay, now the first part A, is basically about data. Okay, how we key in all the data that we obtain from our questionnaire into SPSS. So assume that now all your data is clean, is already entered, is the grouping, the measures of all the data is all correct. Okay, now we move on to the second part, which is the analysis part. Okay. Okay, simple descriptive statistic. So we have, first of all, we need to understand the type of data. We have two types of variable. We have categorical variable and numerical variable. So for categorical variable is the one which the responses are divided into non-overlapping category or group. Like nominal just now lah, okay, categorical by groups. It's not divided into non-overlapping category. But numerical variable, is the variable for which the responses are meaningful number. You can add and subtract them. Okay. Okay, now we focus on the categorical variable first. We have nominal, ordinal, and binary. So nominal having unordered category, ordinal having categories ordered by size from small to large or vice versa, and binary having only two categories. Okay, and this categorical variable results in count, frequency, mode, proportion. We can have bar charts and we can have pie charts. While numerical variable is basically discrete, having discrete countable value, usually with no intermediate value, and they are continuous, having an infinite number of possible value falling between an interval or any two observed value. We can also come up with mean, mode, and median, range, variance, standard deviation, histogram, and box plots. Okay. Okay, now the very simple analysis in SPSS is the frequency analysis. Like our final exam lah, we want to know how many people score A, B, C, fail. Okay, so basically the one that we do is to choose frequency analysis. So you go to SPSS, under analyze, click descriptive statistic, click frequency. Okay, later on I will show to you how to click all this. But here is the step by step manual, so you can see lah. So when you click frequency, okay, it will come to this screen. So you will have frequency statistic, you have percentile value, central tendency, dispersion and distribution. So the normal central tendency that we want to look at is the mean, median, and mode. So you can click. Okay, click, tick, and then continue. This is the frequency table that will appear in your IBM SPSS statistic viewer, the result lah. So over here for the example that I use, my data sample 1, I have male 18 people, female 12 people. In total, I have 30. So I have the percentage row here, 60, 40, 100. And then I have Q41, which is age. I have frequency of 8 for 18 to 20, 8 for 21 to 30, 10, 31 to 40, 3, 41 to 50, and above 50, I have 1, where my total respondent only 30. Okay, so this is the frequency table. Okay, I think for frequency analysis, everybody can do it because it is very straightforward. And I think you can immediately understand lah how to interpret the result. Okay, because by percentage, right, it's very easy. Okay, now, frequency very easy, just click whatever you like, then you can interpret. But the tricky part is the inferential statistic. So the inferential statistic that we are covering today is only 4, okay, which is independent sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, Pearson correlation, and another one I didn't write here is regression analysis. Okay, when we want to see association, when we want to see relationship. Okay, so there are two main menu under analyze that we are using today. Number one is compare mean under analyze, and then another one is correlate. Okay. Right. Okay, I believe some of you, when you read journal, you heard about t-test, t-test. So what is t-test? Why we use t-test? So actually there are few groups of t-tests, okay, but the one that I'm covering today is independent sample t-test. So we use independent sample t-test to compare the means between two groups. So we have two groups. Okay, like for example here, we have male group and female group. We want to see the comparison of means between these two groups. Because remember, means can represent the performance of the group represent the group lah. So we want to compare the means of these two groups. So independent t-test is often used to see whether there is group difference in a continuous data between the two groups, like gender, quality of life, things like that. Okay, so here we have male and female, and over here 8, 7, 5, 4, 11, so on are the mean. Okay, sorry, is the data of this group. So what we are going to look later, we are going to compare the means between the male and the female group. So over here, we have gender and quality of life. So here for the male, for the male, the quality of life, the rank of the quality of life that this guy answer is 9. And continue by 15, 18. And then for female, this lady answered 19, 16, and 9. So the model assumption here, we are using independent, normality, and equal variant. To run an independent sample t-test in SPSS, you just need to click Analyze, go to Compare Mean, and select Independent Sample t-test. So if you already have the data, since all of you, most of you, I believe, did not able to download the SPSS, when you want to do independent sample t-test, this is the screen that will appear on your SPSS software. Okay, so over here, we want to see the comparison mean between male and female in terms of quality of life. So we click quality of life to the test variable. And then under grouping variable, just now we want to see the difference in gender, right? Male and female, we choose gender. So we bring gender into the grouping variable, and we need to define the group over here in the red box. Group 1, okay, I didn't key in here. Group 1 represent male, group 2 represent female, and then click continue. When you click continue, it will automatically leads you to the result. So here is already the result. So this is the result. It shows us the F value, okay, the alpha value, the sync value here is the alpha value, is under the Levene's test for equality of variances and the t-test for equality of mean. So the main thing that we want to see here is the F value and the alpha value here. So here, the conclusion that we can see here, the variances of male group and female group are not significantly different. Okay, it means that just now, right, the quality of life between male and female is not significantly different. Why? Because the alpha level here is more than 0.05 here. The sync value here, okay, is more than 0.05. So that the variances between the group, male and female, are not significantly different. Tak different pun, it's same. Okay. Okay, so if we want to interpret the result of independent sample t-test, the first column that we need to see is the Levene's test. The second one is the t-test for equality of mean. So over here, we know already there was no statistically significant difference in the level of quality of life between male and female because the alpha value is more than 0.05. And then we need to report the t value, okay, the df value here, okay, as well as the here, the alpha to tail value here. So t is equal to 198 over here, the df, okay, is equal to here t negative 1.738, and p value here is our sig value here, alpha value here is 0.084. Okay, it's more already than 0.05. So when it's the the value here, right? The most important thing that we want to see here and always in statistic is the alpha level, is the alpha value, the sig level here. Okay, so when it's more than 0.05, it shows us that there is no significance different. So tak different lah. So again, when we want to interpret the result of independent sample t-test, we are looking into the first part of the output. Part A, the first column, the Levin's test for equality of variances, where it tests the assumption, okay, that the group standard deviation should be equal. So if they are equal, then we can use the standard t-test procedure covered in this chapter. However, if the variable within the two group is not equivalent, then we need to use a test that correct for this. If the significant level is greater, okay, the sig level just now, right? Significant level just now, greater than 0.05, then we can assume that the group variance are equal and need to use the first row of t-test. Result part B. If the significant level is 0.5 or less, then we should assume that the group variances are not equal and need to use the second row of the t-test result. Okay, I go back here. Now, this is what we are looking at. Okay, we have two, what do you call that? Two row part here, right? Sorry, here. One, equal variances assumed, and two, equal variances not assumed. So first we see here, okay, you might want to ask me which result that I need to read. Is it the top one or the bottom one? We need to read the first one first. Okay, it's mentioned here. If the result, okay, first part, the group standard deviation should be equal, then we can use the standard t-test procedure. But when the significant level is greater than 0.05, then we can assume that group variances are equal and need to use the first row. Okay, so based on our result earlier, this is greater than 0.05. So we read the first row. If this is less, we read the second row. So that's why we read the first row, because it is greater. Okay. Well, actually, I have another exercise to do by using sample data too. Okay, I want you guys to test the independent sample test, okay, by using the sample data tool to test the hypothesis of whether there is difference in terms of TE1 between gender or not. But I'm not sure how many of you are able to download the SPSS. How many of you have the SPSS actually? Or actually everybody cannot download the SPSS? I think most of you, is it? Okay, if that's the case, then I will just continue with the lecture. Maybe along the way you have question, you can stop me and ask lah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe at the moment you are doing some research and you are trying to use this analysis and you are not really sure how to do it, then we can discuss together. All right, now okay, this is the result for the activity 2. So after you click everything by, if you refer to the step-by-step that I have, this is the result that you have. Okay, the result that you have. So we are looking into the differences between male and female in their expectation when they visit the night tourism activity in Penang based on my data. So this is the result. Again, we are looking into the first row, Leven's test for equality of variances. So the significant level here is slightly above 0.5, which is 0.69, right? So it's still no statistically difference. And after that, we need to take a look into the t-test box. So over here, the significant level for two-tail here is greater than 0.05. Okay, so we are looking into the first row of the result. We can tell immediately that there is no statistical significantly different between male and female groups in terms of the expectation of tourism activity at night in Penang. Thus, the hypothesis is rejected. Okay. Okay, the second one, okay, for the mean comparison, right? The usual one that we have is independent sample, one-way ANOVA, one-way ANOVA. Okay, so independent sample, one-way ANOVA, compare means between more than two groups. Because when we carry out t-test is normally for two groups. Okay, but when we have more than two groups, we cannot use t-test anymore. We must use ANOVA. Okay, so it is often used to see whether there are group differences in continuous data between more than two groups. For example, here I have marital status group. We have married, widow, separated, single. So again, we are looking into their quality of life. So we want to see if there is differences between this group in terms of quality of life. Ada differences tak? So again, the model assumption that we have is independence, normality, and equal variance. Okay, the steps that you need to follow is under analyze, click compare means click one-way ANOVA. So when you choose your dependent list, okay, over here our dependent variable is quality of life, and the factor, the group that we are looking at is marital status. So under post hoc, you click to keep, okay, and then under option, you click option. This one will pop up. You click homogeneity or variance test. Continue. And this is the result. Okay, so this is the result. Again, we are always looking into the significance level. Okay, we are always looking into the significant level. So in this result, the significant level column is at the end. Okay, so this significant level is greater than 0.05. Immediately we can tell that this is not statistically significantly different. Variances of married, widow, and single group are not significantly different. Okay, there is another box, another result that you will find other than this test of homogeneity. Okay, where ANOVA lah, we are looking to the ANOVA. So over here again, okay, we are looking into the significant level. And over here, our significant level is lesser than 0.05. As a conclusion, there was statistically significant group differences in level of quality of life between spelling error, marital status group, where our F here, F value here is over here is 2197. Okay, under here, and then our p value here is lesser than 001. Okay, 001. It's more precise. So there is significant group differences between married, separated, and single groups. So which groups are differ? We can see under the multiple comparison. So over here, okay, the level of quality of life for married group was significantly higher than widow group. Over here, again, we are looking into the significant level. So here, married common law, higher than widow group over here. Okay. And then single group shows significantly higher level of quality of life than widow group. If we want to compare which one is higher, then we need to take a look into the multiple comparison box over here. Okay. So widow here, married here, and single here. Okay, this is where you see the comparisons between groups. Okay, I feel like I'm a bit fast because we didn't do the exercise. Any question before I move to correlation analysis? It's a bit too fast because we didn't do the hands-on. If we are having physical workshop, right, I can share the software by passing around the pen drive. But since this is online, I can't really help you guys to have a copy of the software. So it means that you need to ask your IT help to download it for you. Then only after that you can try. Any questions so far, or should I continue? I already feel that the workshop is very, very brief, and I feel a bit very, very fast now. Maybe I can provide a brief summary before I move to the correlation part. Okay, again, for the t-test, okay, for the t-test, we do t-test when we want to see the differences in two groups. Okay, for example, because we are all lecturers, right? You teach two classes. Okay, same subject. For example, let's say you teach English class. Okay, class A. Okay, maybe I just give a simple one. Class A, you also teach English 1. Class B, also different batch lah, also English 1. So you want to, during your examination, DAB, okay, Department Assessment Board, you want to know which group perform well. Okay, since they are from the same group, not same group lah, they are two group, right? But you are teaching the same subject. You want to see whether group A or group B perform, which one the group perform better. So you can do t-test. Okay, you can do t-test because you only have two group. But let's say you have 3 groups from different department, but still English subject. Okay, you teach English subject for SHTCA, for computing school, for engineering school. So now you have more than 2 groups. You can use independent sample one-way ANOVA. Okay, to see whether or not the first group perform better than the second group or third group, like that. If I want to use a very simple layman word lah, that is the time where we use independent sample one-way ANOVA. Okay, all right. So these are all the step-by-steps manual that you can refer to. Okay, now I'm moving into Pearson correlation. So it's correlation analysis lah actually. So we just adapt the name Pearson because Pearson is the one who come up with this calculation. So Pearson correlation is used to examine association between variable, which is represented by continuous data by looking at the direction and strength of the association. Sometimes we know there is association or relationship exists between this variable, but we don't know how strong it is. Okay, we can see it by using Pearson correlation analysis. Like for example, the variables that I have here, we have quality of life, we have distress, we have self-esteem. So we want to see whether or not distress have relationship with quality of life, and quality of life has association with self-esteem, and whether or not self-esteem has association with distress. So we can run Pearson correlation analysis. But before that, we need to check the outlier, whether they have some items or result that is not necessarily to be there. Okay, but the most important thing here, we want to run the correlation to see whether or not there is a relationship or association between this variable and how strong are this association. So what are the steps that we need to do in SPSS? Under analyze, go to correlate and select by variate. Select by variate. So you need to choose the variable that you want to test. Okay, earlier I showed you the model, right? We are testing quality of life, distress, and esteem. So we choose these three variables. Underneath there, under correlation coefficient, we tick Pearson and then flag significant correlation. Okay, and click OK. You will get the output like this. So the triangle that I highlighted here is the result that we want to see. Okay, because these are correlated, it is some overlapping here. Okay, overlapping here is it's repetitive here. So the one that we want to look is just this triangle. Okay, for example, we want to see the correlation of quality of life with distress. So this is the result, negative 0.708. Okay, significant level, significant here is lesser than 0.5. And N here representing the number of data that we have. So we have 198 data here. Distress, okay, we are looking into distress correlation with esteem total. We have negative correlation here because this is negative 0.685, and significant value here is significant. That's why we have 2 star here. Okay, and then we have esteem total. To esteem total, so the one lah definitely related. Okay, here it mentioned correlation is significant at 0.01 level to tail. There were statistically significant negative correlation, even though the result is negative, but they still have relationship because the significant level is lesser than 0.5. And then between self-esteem and distress is also having negative correlation, okay, with the p-value lesser than 0.001. There was statistically significant positive correlation between quality of life and self-esteem over here. Quality of life and self-esteem got relationship, and the strength here, right, is 0.660. Okay. Is a correlation. Okay, now we move on actually to the last analysis, which is linear regression. So we have single regression and multiple regression based on how many factors that we want to regress. So linear regression is used to explain or predict the phenomenon of interest, which is continuous data. For example, here we have quality of life, okay, and then distress level. So we want to see whether or not distress level influence quality of life. Okay, this is simple regression or single regression. And then we also have multiple, okay, regression here, where over here we can see that distress level influence quality of life, esteem level influence quality of life, and gender influence quality of life. So if you have only one, we have simple linear regression. If we have many factor, then we call it multiple regression. Okay. Okay, the steps is when you want to do regression analysis, we need to go to analyze, click regression, and click linear. So even though you are doing multiple linear regression, you still need to click linear. So it will appear this. Choose the dependent variable. This is where you need to understand whether your data is dependent variable, your variable is dependent or independent. Because when you start do your analysis, okay, under all these box, they will ask you to choose what is your dependent, what is your independent. So here our dependent is quality of life. And there are three main factors, okay, that influence, okay, the dependent, which is distress, esteem, and gender. So we click this under the blocks, okay, and then actually under option here, you still need to click some item. Okay, later I show you. Okay, then this is the output. So the main thing that we want to see when we do regression analysis is the R value and the R square value under model summary. Okay, there are few boxes that will appear. So the first box is the model summary. So we want to check the R value and the R square value. In the R column, it represents the value of R, the multiple correlation coefficient. Okay, the R can be considered to be one measure of the quality of the prediction of the dependent variable, in this case, quality of life. So the value of 0.745 in this example indicates a good level of prediction. Okay, and the R value, okay, here, right, the R value, the closer the number to 1, the better correlationship. Okay, the lower the number, especially below 0.500, the result is doubtful. Okay, not preferable. And then we continue. The R square column represent the R square value, also called the coefficient of determination, which is the proportion of variance in the dependent variable that can be explained by the independent variable. Okay, technically it is the proportion of variation accounted for by the regression model above and beyond the main model. So over here we have the R square value 0.555. It means that it's contribute 55% of the variability in the quality of life. Okay, the overall regression model significantly explain the quality of life. So this is the value of the regression. The next box that we want to see is the ANOVA table. Okay, over here, again, we want to see the significant level, the alpha value here. The P value here must always lesser, okay, than 0.5 as always. So the F ratio in the ANOVA table tests whether the overall regression model is a good fit for the data or not. Okay, we are looking into the model and we want to see whether the model is a good fit for the data or not. So this table shows that independent variable statistically significant predict the dependent variable. So we report the result. F is 4 and 189 here. equal to 58.992 over here with the p-value of lesser than 0.005. The regression model is a good fit for the data because the sig value is lesser. And another table, the last table that we want to see here is the coefficient table. So the coefficient table represent the regression lah, the strength of the regression where we are looking into the beta result here. Okay, unstandardized coefficient indicate how much the dependent variable varies with an independent variable when all other independent variable are held constant. So as a conclusion, distress and self-esteem significantly predicted the level of quality of life because only two of them are having the p-value lesser than 0.05. Okay, we would expect negative 0.416 points decrease in quality of life for every 1 point decrease in distress, assuming all the other variables are held constant. Okay. Here, only two, while the gender is not because the significant value here, okay, is greater than 0.05. So only two influencing quality of life. Yet the beta value is not strong lah. So actually I have another activity exercise that I want you to do where I want you to interpret the correlation of tourist satisfaction, expectation and future behavior. And then I want you guys to run the multiple linear regression for tourist satisfaction, expectation and future behavior. And interpret the R value of the model summary and examine whether the regression model is a good fit of the data or not, and to test the hypothesis of whether or not there is a relationship between tourist expectation and future tourist behavior, and whether or not there is a relationship between tourist satisfaction and future tourist behavior. So if you run the analysis, this is the result. Okay. From this result, we can tell that there is no statistically significant difference because okay, the p-value is greater than 0.005 and there is, but there is statistically significant correlation between tourist satisfaction and future behavior as the p-value is lesser than 0.5 here. Okay. All right. Well, this is the model summary result. Okay. And the beta value is here. So from the result here, tourist expectation, the sig value is greater than 0.5. So there is did not significantly predicted the future behavior, but tourist satisfaction, the sig value is lesser than 0.05, thus significantly predicted the future tourist behavior. So hypothesis 1 is rejected while hypothesis 2 is accepted. Okay. Okay, as a summary, okay, in the second section, we learn about data preparation in SPSS. Okay, we learn about data management, what we need to do if we have missing value, what we need to do if we need to merge the two options of answer into one, what we need to do if we need to compute, okay, the data to become one factor, okay, especially when we run regression analysis. And then descriptive analysis as simple as frequency. And then we have inferential statistic where we cover the topic of independent sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, correlation and regression analysis. So basically, right, all these inferential statistic that I share with you today is the very basic one. So if you really want to run analysis, these are the types of analysis that you must know how to run and must be able to interpret. Okay, it is a very basic one. If you can master this, you can move on to the next level where the analysis is much more complicated and much more, maybe will be more useful for your research. Okay, I think I am 1 hour ahead. Okay, because yalah, I didn't have the chance to show the hands-on for you guys. Thus, we stop at 12. Any question? Okay, I think before I stop, let us take a look back into the topic that we shared earlier. Okay, I want to know whether you understand which kind of analysis that you should do for your analysis or not. Okay, let me show I share with you again the Padlet. I think for Miss Sumiko research, this is totally qualitative lah. So we can't really choose any analysis that we have just now here, because identifying the challenges is a bit subjective. So we can't choose any analysis earlier. I think for Ken also, Mr. Ken also cannot. Okay. But for Miss Fatiha can. Okay, for research objective 1, to examine the factors that influence the baby food selection process. What kind of analysis we can use to achieve research objective 1? Anyone want to try? Is it a descriptive analysis or inferential analysis? To examine the factors that influence the baby food selection process. Miss Fatiha itself, what kind of analysis we need to use to achieve research objective 1?
Descriptive analysis.
Descriptive. Examine the factor that influence baby food selection process. I think when we use the word influence, when you use the word influence, right, automatically you need to use regression already. But I think you said descriptive analysis earlier because got the examine the factors. So I think if you want to make it more detailed, you describe the factors first. Okay, so by describing the factor, you can use descriptive analysis. But after that, when you say you want to examine the factor that influence the baby food selection process, this one, the word influence itself, is referring to the regression analysis already. Okay, but research objective 2, to determine the perception of parents towards local made baby food. Perception of parents toward, this one is descriptive. But if you just want to know the perception, then descriptive. But if you want to see the perception, right, especially when you are using Likert scale, this one also use regression. Okay. Mainly you are using regression analysis lah. You are using regression analysis. And this one, research question current. If we look into the hypothesis, the performance of the novel, blah, blah, blah. This one is, this one is inferential as well. If you use Likert scale, then you can use regression as well. But if you just want to decide what are the factors, what is the performance, right? You can just use mean, standard deviation, which is under descriptive analysis. Yes. Okay. I guess I think some of you is to say the first time use SPSS and you don't have your own data. Even though I share the sample data but you can't open, I guess that's one of the factors that contribute to why most of you don't have question lah. Okay, if you have the chance to open the data, you can play around with the variable, with the data. You can try to follow the steps one by using the manual that I have, and then you can try. Okay, I think as I mentioned earlier, you can just follow the step by referring to any manual anywhere in the website. But the tricky part is when to interpret the data. Okay, especially when you have your own data, that's the time where you feel, betul ke? Is the result correct or not? Should I accept or should I reject the hypothesis or not? When you have your own data and when you run the analysis yourself, then only more question will be there. Okay, I guess that's all for today. Unfortunately lah, I cannot do the hands-on. And you guys unable to download the software. That's why we end early lah. Okay, but anyway, if you have any question to ask, feel free to reach me through my email, irhanida@kdvg.edu.my, or you can also ask my colleague here, Dr. Sarah Chia. She is also an expert in quantitative method. You can also reach her if you have any question. Thank you so much for joining the workshop today. I hope even though we can't run the hands-on, there is some part of the session that benefits you lah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, don't worry. Normally I run this workshop twice a year, so I hope the next time I can improve the workshop session. And I learned a lesson that it should be physical lah instead of online.
Thank you, Dr. Ihalina.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ken. Thank you, everyone. Have a good week. Belum weekend, right? Today is Thursday, huh? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.